Sorry if that was loud. I just had to hit record. All right, yeah, I can jump in first. Hey, Coach.
Hey.
Hope all's well. First of all, kind of curious on when you look back and watch the film of the last game, where did you really see the team kind of lock in somewhere around the third quarter and be able to come back and ultimately win that game in overtime?
Well, unfortunately, I've seen it happen in practice a lot. In our first 30 practice, we have a tendency to sometimes wait to the last second on some drills that we do, some shooting drills and some other things that we measure. But we've said you've either got to be good and consistent the whole game, you've got to be great for stretches, or you got to be clutch to do it. And I thought we were clutch because we were absolutely out of time. We kept saying it at the end of the first quarter, at halftime, but obviously it didn't sink in. I said, we are literally out of possessions. We are going to run out of possessions if we don't start now. So maybe we're going to be a clutch team. I don't know. I'd prefer not to be. I'd prefer to be a good, consistent team that's solid for 40 minutes. But right now we don't have that in us. So I'm glad we are clutch. I'm glad we did lock in when we needed to. I did learn that, obviously the things we're doing in the strength and conditioning area and the nutrition area and the recovery area and this athletic training area, all those things paid off because I thought we were the fresher team in the second half and obviously into the overtime. You don't simply just start holding teams to 0%, for 5 minutes and 14% for a quarter. There's other factors involved. So I give a lot of those people credit. I think as the season goes along, we'll play better for longer stretches, but I did learn that about our team. And that they do not give up. There was a lot of things said in our timeouts by our players, not our coaches, that we haven't had said by players in a long time. And that's really something that coaches hope for, but don't always get, but we got that. So I know we have it. I did tell the team, on the way home that the way things unfolded, unfortunately for them, what they have proven is they're capable of doing lots of things. It's on film now. You can do this. You can guard this way. You can execute offensively this way. You can rebound. You can make free throws so it's now a matter of doing it more consistently.
Curious to kind of dive in there for a second in the player huddles. Who is the players that were kind of leading that charge and saying, "Here's what we need to do. We got this. We can handle this."
It was literally everybody. It was literally everybody. I will tell you, and again, just calling one example, like we had in practice told them that we felt like it was going to be a low possession game and we probably needed to come up with 30 stops at some point in time during the game. So in practice, we said, let's work twice as hard as we play. So let's get 60 stops before we finish practice. And we did it. Well, coming out of that timeout, it wasn't that timeout, but it was one later in the game when Kiki said, and we were starting to get tired. She said, this is why we did 60 stops, so we can be ready. So there was carryover, but they all did something. Every single player on our team, whether they played, 43 minutes or none, they were all in there. And that, like I said, that's something we've not had and something that coaches hope to have. This team seems to have it so far.
Yeah, I'll turn over to Ethan. I'll come back with some questions. Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike, speaking of Kiki, she went down very late in the game. Is she okay?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a cramp.
Okay.
Just a cramp. And it was a bad one though. And it was she said she's never really had them in that part of her leg before. They can be scary. So, but yeah, she was fine. And we were off yesterday, got a lot of that has to do with what you do, the hours and before the game. So we made sure she had some hydration. I don't think she'll have any lingering effects.
Wanted to ask about UT-Arlington, their coach, Sharika Wright. She was outstanding player at Purdue and under Christy Curry, who we're familiar with, the Alabama coach, and was on her staffs. Do you see kind of that fingerprint of Christy and their stuff, or does she have her own style that she's kind of taken?
I would tell you that she's obviously got, some of that in there, but I think she's got a little bit of everything, going back to her high school days. We actually hosted her on a recruiting visit when I was here with Coach Blair. So we unsuccessfully got her to come here as a player, but we got her to come here and play a game. So I've kind of been attached, and that was back in the days when I was, driving people around and doing some things on visits that I don't do these days. So I've known her for a long time. But they do, I think all teams kind of adapt a coach's personality, and she's tenacious. She's confident. She's going to try things, but I think she's really going, as she's evolved as a head coach, you can see that she has learned to do what her team needs to be done, not just have a style. She's adaptive. I mean, we're going to have to work today, and we have a 1-day turnaround. We're going to have to work on a half-court trap, a full-court trap. We're going to have to work on man. We're going to have to work on zone. We're going to have to work on a hybrid defense. She has really put a team together that plays. They're just multifaceted, so they steal your practice time. I had to cut out shooting free throws. I had to cut out some things that we normally do just because of the sake of time. And we're going to have to be really efficient with our time today to prepare for them. And we'll use a full shoot around tomorrow, which we don't usually do, because they force you to have a plan for lots of things, which cuts into your ability to be good at a lot of those things. So it's a challenge. But yeah, Sharika, from playing days to assistant coaches days, you can plot her course and tell that not only Christy, but even back to her high school coaches and other coaches she's worked for.
And then they've got a player, whenever you look at the roster, you're like, wait, with Coy Love, that she was at Vanderbilt. I think she was a freshman the same time as Michaela Daniels.
Yep.
What have you seen from her and kind of her career? I mean, she was 2-time freshman of the week at Vandy.
Oh yeah, no. And listen, you start adding these things up, and the COVID and the transfer, all those things put together, and you've got some kids that have played for a long, long time. So she's a veteran. She's got a lot of savvy. That's why she's getting to the foul line the number of times that she is against the people that she is. She played at USC as well, and so she's been around. I mean, this is a kid who will not be in awe of Bud Walton Arena at all. She's been in here before. She's been in places like that. And then, they've got players from Stephen F. Austin that played at a real high level too. We played against Brittingham in the NIT, I think, one year. So a lot of familiarity. That's what's kind of cool about college basketball in 2025 is making the connections. I used to watch Aspen Thornton play a lot in high school. So to see them all on the same team, that is one of the cool things about what our sports evolved into.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Dudley.
Hey, Coach. Talk to me a little bit about the philosophy of putting a schedule together. I know you've had the opportunity to have UConn come here, UCLA come here. You're going back to see them Sunday.
Yeah.
Just overall, what do you look for when you have this young a team? But talk about just the overall philosophy.
Yeah, it starts out and it goes back to my high school days. Like, nobody cares how many games you win unless you win your last one. I think that's about a quote in for what's the best team you're going to play. And sometimes you can't, obviously we can't play 31 games against, people that have a chance to win the national championship, but you've got to build into that. So I always want us to be able to play against the best teams on our schedule when we play them. So to do that, you've got to challenge your team, no matter how old they are, young or experienced. So we want to put that together first. That's the first thought. And then the second is that you give yourselves enough opportunity to be talked about when it comes Selection Sunday, or Monday now, whichever one we were doing it on these days. You've got to be on the board. And to do that, there's certain criteria you have to meet. So you seek out opponents that are going to do both of those things, help you get your team ready. And also, if you're successful in getting your team ready, then you're attractive to the NCAA tournament committee and the postseason teams, because we all want to play in the postseason. So I want us to do that. I don't care what our record is. The year we went to the Final Four, we had 11 losses. I wanted us to be ready. It's hard and getting harder to lose any game, or heck, it's hard to win games now. You can win and everybody wants you to win by more or in a different way. So I've had to try to find a balance between keeping our kids confident and helping them build confidence. I don't want them to have false confidence. I don't want to play a bunch of teams that won't be a postseason team. So it's hard. We tell our kids it's going to be that in recruiting. I do think it's why some kids come here, is because they know our non-conference schedule. They're going to play not only the SEC, but then they're going to get 5 or 6 other games that are marquee, and then another 6 or 7 games that, like, a non-casual basketball fan doesn't realize how good they are or how hard it is. Like, most people don't realize how hard it is to play at Little Rock for us. It might not be hard for somebody else, but for Arkansas to go down there, you know, with the bus had a big rap on it. We had people honking at us. Why are y'all Little Rock? Oh, you're playing Little Rock. So I just think there's always things that our team knows that not everybody else knows. So I appreciate the question for sure. And I hope that answers it. But I want our team to be ready to play against the best teams we play and have true confidence, not false confidence. You're on mute, buddy.
You said you always try to play a tournament, it appears, you know, there before the second semester. And you also have a situation where you try to get them on the road for a big game too, it looks like.
Correct. Yeah, because we don't get to play them all in Bud Walton. We know what that'd be awesome if we could. The tournaments, Dudley, offer us some opponents that we wouldn't be able to get otherwise in a home and home, or it might be an area that we don't recruit in, but we'd like to play them. So, and then we always want one of those to kind of be someplace fun, like this, both the places we're going this year. And you'll notice, like, on our years when we're traveling abroad for our overseas trip, we probably won't go to a tournament like that. So, you know, scheduling is it's an ongoing process, just like recruiting. Coach Todd heads up the day-to-day execution of building our schedule, and he gets 1 day a year off from scheduling. Zimmerman up there in the top right can get me an amen on scheduling. The day off you get is the day you finish the next year's, and then that next day you're off to the next one.
Yeah.
And yeah, you do have to have, I think our plan is good. It's been able to keep us in the conversation and on those boards for postseason tournaments, as well as prepare us. And again, I like to work through as many problems as we can early as well. I'd rather have, if we're going to have issues with things, I'd rather those be exposed in time to fix them rather than, you know, at the last minute when you don't have that time. So
Appreciate it, man.
you bet.
Z. Coach, the defense was pretty good in the fourth quarter. It had to be. You had to get stops, and then they missed some free throws that helped. But I thought your defense was played with a sense of urgency and in overtime as well. Little Rock had a hard time getting any good looks. You had to be pretty happy with that.
Yes, for sure. And there were some great individual performances too. Y'all don't get all the stats we do, but you know, Jada Bates's defense on Faith Lee was outstanding. Blocked her shot. That was kind of the turning point, but just making her work incredibly hard to get a good shot. The team playing around it, our rebounding got a little bit more focused. You know, Coach Todd had them prepared from the tip, but that sense of urgency didn't kick in until it was, you know, really, really important that it happened. Carly Johnson gave us some good defensive minutes, being in the right spot at the right time. Then I think that picked up our offensive execution as well. Those two feed off of each other. But defense in the fourth quarter and overtime, you know, were stellar. To hold a team that's so difficult to guard like that. I think they were 14% in the fourth quarter and obviously 0% in the overtime. But I thought a lot of that had to do with what we did early in the game. We made them work, and I do think conditioning had a lot to do with it, and forcing them to play with expend a lot of energy early in the game to do what they were doing. And you're right, the missed free throws were key. But that was something that you know, we were able to get a couple of those rebounds. They got a couple offensive rebounds, which we're going to have to clean up as the season goes. But you know, for that night, I've never been a part of a game like that, Zim. Maybe you've had a turnaround where it looked like, you know, we were literally we were out of time. Yeah. And it just turned and then turned. But you know, momentum is a crazy thing, working for you or against you.
Yeah.
And it was certainly timely, clutch.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that type of game, Coach, it's jubilation when you win. You're on the road, but it's also kind of a sense of exhale and just a little bit of relief, isn't it?
It has been, Zim, in the past. I said this in our post game to Phil, like for the last few years, all wins have felt more like reliefs, but that one really was celebration. Like, and I said it to our kids in the locker room. I said, we have got to get back to where winning feels good no matter the circumstance. If you can't enjoy a win, I told the kids, let's get on the bus, let's get home and go celebrate. Little did I know, my Bowen was in the back of the room and he heard me because we rode the bus home. He took a little nap. We got him in the truck, got him in the car seat, got him home. And JC said to him, let's go inside and get you in pajamas and go to bed. And he goes, oh, I thought we were going to party. So
he gets that from his dad.
Well, yeah, that's fine. That's if that's one thing he carries from me, I hope it is good that you enjoy, you celebrate victories. It was hard fought, and I also learned he's listening in the back of the room a lot more than I realized. So that was a good reminder for us all.
Anybody got anything else? Nope. All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right. See y'all. Appreciate you. Thanks for the tour of your house, Sim. Appreciate it.